Welcome back, everyone, to another Loki episode breakdown. So, I am going to be talking about Loki episode 6 here, the last episode of Loki season 1. Because, yes, there's going to be another season, obviously. So, yeah. Spoiler alert before we get started, because obviously a lot of big things happen in the episode. And if you don't have Disney Plus or something, then get it and watch it. So, anyway, the title of the episode is called For All Time Always, which is kind of like their motto, which is something that they always say, and they say it so many times, and they mostly say it during episode 1 called Glorious Purpose. But yeah, but that's usually what they always say. And I believe it's called For All Time Always because now Loki's actually kind of on the side of the timekeepers. Loki's gone through kind of a big arc this entire season. He goes off not liking. He slowly, around this time, when he gets halfway throughout the series, he kind of starts to change his opinion on the timekeepers. He changes his opinion here, and same with here. But when he gets to here, he immediately switches back to himself, which is honestly such a big arc. And yeah, because now the season 1 does not end on a good point. Usually, most shows, season 1 usually ends on a good point. It's usually season 2 and 3 that usually end on bad points. But season 1 here ends on a really horrible point. Take The Mandalorian, for example. The Mandalorian ends on a really good point in season 1 because Moff Gideon gets defeated. Season 2 is the same thing, but only the stakes were lifted higher. Grogu gets taken, and he has to use the Darksaber, and now he's thrown into a bigger conflict with Bo-Katan. But yeah. So anyway, so the episode actually opens with this giant intro where you see like voices of Marvel characters, but also voices of like real people as well. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. And then it zooms out of the entire universe, and then it shows the timeline that we just saw, and it shows the Citadel, which is where Loki and Sylvie have been going to. They make it there. The doors open by themselves. When they get in there, Miss Minutes actually jump scares them, and she offers them a deal. But obviously, they get startled by this because they throw out their swords. Miss Minutes is obviously very sketchy here because she has obviously a lot of people had theories at the beginning of the season that she was going to be the one behind it all. But obviously, that's not true because she's like an AI force. So obviously, what I mean by that is that she has more knowledge of the TVA than most of the other characters, like Renslayer and Mobius, for example. So yeah. So basically, she offers them a deal, and I'm just gonna play it.
You look. Welcome to the Citadel at the end of time.
Come on.
Congratulations. Y'all had an awfully long journey to get here. He's impressed.
Who's impressed?
He who remains.
And who is he?
He created all, and he controls all. At the end, it is only he who remains. And he wants to offer you a deal. He's been making a few creative adjustments, and he's worked it out so we can reinsert both of y'all back into the timeline in a way that won't disrupt things.
And disrupt things?
The TVA can keep doing its vital work, and y'all can live the lives you've always wanted.
And what have we always wanted?
Now, don't play coy with me, mister. You know how you got into this mess.
What?
The Battle of New York, silly. You versus those self-righteous Avengers. How would you like to win? But not just there. You can kill Thanos. You want the Infinity Gauntlet? Yours. Throne of Asgard? No problem. What about you, Missy? All those years on the run, desperate, alone. How would you like to wake up tomorrow with just a lifetime of happy memories? Two Lokis in the same place.
Both of us. Together on the timeline.
It's crazy, but he could make it work. All of it. Everything. Exactly the way you've always wanted. and you can have it all together.
So yeah, basically, if you don't know, she offers them this giant deal where, basically, she offers them to beat the Avengers, kill Thanos, all that stuff. Now the thing is that, one thing that kind of always like tips me off about this is that throughout the entire series, they make the Infinity Stones and the Infinity Gauntlet look so weak in comparison to like the TVA itself. Like the TVA is on a whole other level compared to compared to like literally anything the Avengers have done. So and also Miss Minutes is just playing around with the idea where that is. Even though they have it all, even though the He Who Remains character is kind of the one who has it all prepared, it's still kind of it's still shocking to see how like the TVA is like literally above an Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity Stones. But yeah. So anyway, they walk to these statues, but also before I continue, also Sylvie says all this.
It's fiction.
We write our own destiny now.
So yeah, basically, obviously, they're not going to accept the deal because also one thing that she also offered is that both of them can live on the same timeline together. So if they wanted to like pursue a relationship, then they could, but they're not. So obviously, but they can't because they live like on different like timelines. But yeah, and yeah, obviously. So yeah, as they walk through, you see statues of the timekeepers. Now, one thing that's interesting about this part is that you see this one, and you see the two Loki and Sylvie. But then on the bottom, there's another one that is broken, which is really weird. But okay, I think this one might be the one of the He Who Remains. And I already know who he is because I watched the episode, and you might know who he is if you also watched it too. But for those of you who didn't listen, then you know what, I'm gonna keep it quiet until I show. Then they run into this guy, who is basically the dude who is He Who Remains. If you don't know, this is Jonathan Majors, who is the actor for the upcoming Ant-Man 3 movie, Kang the Conqueror. A lot of people now are also speculating that he may show up in Doctor Strange 2, which was set up by WandaVision as well. So yeah, if you remember back a while ago, in WandaVision, I said about this video game where the villain Kang the Conqueror is the main villain, and it talks about the Nexus shards. So yeah, so if you don't know, Wanda is a Nexus being. Loki created a Nexus event, and in the video game, there's also an artifact similar to the Infinity Stones called a Nexus Shard. But yeah, anyway, so obviously, yeah, this is Jonathan Majors. Now he looks more similar to the character Immortus instead of Kang the Conqueror. But yeah, so anyway, so Sylvie, obviously, if you didn't know, Sylvie's goal was to try to kill him, but Renslayer's goal was to basically just warn them of what Sylvie's gonna do. But she tries to kill him, but obviously she fails. So literally, Renslayer's entire goal was just wiped. But yeah, basically, and basically, she always tries to kill him multiple times throughout the episode, but it never truly works. But anyway, and Loki has figured this out as well. So yeah, eventually Mobius makes his way back to the TVA, and he has one of those stun baton things, and he confronts Ravonna. And what ends up happening is um, Renslayer explains why exactly Mobius mostly betrayed it. But yeah.
If anyone was ever going to make it back from the void, I suppose it was going to be you.
Oh, well, one man's void is another man's piece of cake.
So you're going to prune me?
I like that idea. But, my standards might be a little bit higher in that area than yours. With close personal friends.
I'm sorry, Mobius. I couldn't let you get in the way of our mission.
Mission? Timekeepers are fake. We're all variants. What mission?
It can't have been for nothing. That's why I had to prune you. Hunter D90 to my office immediately.
Yeah, sorry, Mona. That's not going to work out the way you think it is. Now that we know your secret.
What did you do?
Okay, now that's actually really Renslayer looks so stressed, like in her voice. Like I know I can't actually show you like how she's saying that, but in her voice she looks so stressed when Mobius reveals that now no one's gonna really listen to you now that we know your little secret. So yeah, basically yeah. in the back there's a statue of the middle timekeeper. So yeah, if you don't know, Renslayer in the comics is actually supposed to be the lover of Kang the Conqueror. So if you don't know, basically Kang the Conqueror is basically the one who he remains, which is the person that Sylvie's been trying to kill this entire episode, and she does eventually succeed. But yeah, and Renslayer is supposed to be the judge in this series. But yeah. So anyway, what ends up happening is Mobius is gonna try to prune her, but what ends up happening is it kind of fails. But anyway, the scene goes to now it switches to 2018 in I believe it says Fremont, Ohio. Now the thing that this is kind of irrelevant, but Ohio is where Natasha Romanoff was spending her days as a child there in the movie Black Widow, which just came out. By the way, I did say spoilers, so I mean I could say anything, but yeah. So obviously, I will make a video on the Black Widow, obviously, but I have to finish this breakdown first, and then I will be able to work on that immediately. The next series would obviously be What If, but that's going to take a little bit longer. So in the meantime, I'll be working on the Black Widow breakdown for you guys. So yeah. So anyway, what ends up happening is we figure out that Renslayer was actually used to be a teacher, if you don't know. I believe, what's it called? C20 just used to be like a normal person, the hunter who got killed by Renslayer. Now, Ravonna is actually used to be a teacher, so that's really weird. And because she is a teacher in this timeline, which means like a teacher is someone who influences you and stuff like that, and they help you with it. But she does the same thing on the TVA, so it's like her purpose never really changed. But yeah. So anyway, so eventually Renslayer gets ready to leave, and eventually Mobius gets kicked to the ground because she knows how to fight a lot better than Mobius does. Which I'll just say that actually most of the best fighters in this show are mostly like the females and the women on the show mostly. People like Mobius and Loki are like very horrible at fighting, especially like even when they're not even trying, they are like trash at fighting. I'm sorry. Anyway, so then she leaves, and what ends up happening is, by the way, Kang, or He Who Remains, whatever, he proves that everything is being recorded, and he knows exactly what's going to happen because he shows up this script, which basically is recording everything they say. He explains that on this. He explains that a version of himself found out that there were universes like timelines on top of timelines. So what they did was he met the other versions of himself. They made peace and they formed the Kang Council, which is similar to the Reed Council. Which, if you don't know, Reed Richards is the one of the members of the Fantastic Four, and there's going to be a movie on that soon. But yeah. Also, by the way, King the Conqueror is actually a descendant of him. So yeah, just pointing that out. So yeah. Anyway, I was actually going to make a video on King the Conqueror, but I didn't for some reason. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, they met up with each other and they made peace, but one of them went rogue, and eventually this is what happened to all the others. They went rogue and everybody started fighting for control of their timeline, for the protection of their timeline, and basically the destruction of the other timeline. If you don't know, Miss Minutes kind of referenced this in episode 1 when she was telling Loki about the multiversal war. This is basically what she was talking about. But yeah, so now we have more context on why that happened exactly. So yeah. So anyway, then eventually one of the versions of him, obviously, if you know, these are all like versions of himself, so that's why they're all the same. He went searching and he found Eliath, which is the creature that they had to enchant. But anyway, so now that Eliath was caught in the act, what they did is he used Eliath to kill everybody else and secure a proper timeline, and that's why he created the TVA so he can. That's why he created the TVA so he can secure the timeline. Because every time they cause a Nexus event, they're basically setting up another multiversal war. So now Loki understands why he got caught. At first, the TVA was seen as like. Was not seem like a righteous group, but now it's kind of seeing as understanding. But to be fair, though, there are some things about the TVA that are completely wrong. So I'm not defending the TVA by any chances. I'm just saying not everything about them is bad. So yeah. Anyway, by the way, when you look at these three things, there's a circle, and a circle. They both look like eyes, and the two look like eyes, and the one looks like a big mouth. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, so he sits down, and what he does is Sylvie and Loki, they get into a giant fight because Sylvie doesn't buy any of this and she just wants to kill him. That's the thing. The thing is that Sylvie has been working for this entire series and probably like super long time to get to her goal. So obviously she wants to so obviously she probably she's not gonna let anything stop her, even if it is Loki. So ends up happening is they fight for a really long time and they even do flips and stuff inside. But yeah, so eventually when Sylvie's about to cut um Kang's head off, Loki stops her, and what ends up happening is they have a kiss scene. I'm sorry, but yeah, I don't like this either. So what ends up happening is then she pushes him out of the portal and he falls back. And then what ends up happening is she takes the blade and she plunges it into him. Now before that, by the way, he was kind of explaining that he explained that even if you guys kill me, another version of himself is just gonna come back here anyway, because here's what's gonna happen. Basically, what he wanted them to do, his plan was to just keep. His plan was to have someone take his place because he's really old and he doesn't want to do this. By the way, like most of the characters on the TV are super old. Loki himself is like thousands of years old because he's an Asgardian demigod, and then well, not really a demigod, but yeah. Anyway, because Loki is like an Asgardian being, so obviously he lives long, and then Sylvie's like the same thing. So yeah, and honestly, I keep calling him Jonathan Majors, but and obviously Kang is super old because he has to do the timeline. And basically everyone in the TVA is like thousands of years old, especially Renslayer and Mobius, because Renslayer had to work her way up from being just a hunter all the way up to a judge. So obviously, and Mobius might actually get there someday. So anyway, so as I was saying, he gets pushed through, and she takes the blade and she stabs him. So yeah, and basically his last words are, "It's pretty dark when characters laugh as they die," which is pretty dark. But yeah, but he laughs his way to death, and yeah, he basically all he says is "see you soon," which is weird. And before you know it, all the timelines start splitting up. Like you have a Nexus event within a Nexus event, so it's like chaotic. And this is basically worse than this is basically like 69 on a scale of 1 to 10. This is literally way worse than the last one in episode 2 when she caused that. Even though it caused a crisis, this is like on a whole other level. And the worst thing about this is that when Mobius and B-15 find out what's happening, Loki tries to warn them. But the thing is this: the TVA has changed. Instead of having 3 of the timekeepers, it's just Kangs. So it's weird. And now what ends up happening is Mobius and B-15 don't remember him at all. So their memories are wiped. And now Loki realizes that they made a huge mistake, and that's why season 1 ends on such a bad spot. But yeah. Obviously, Loki will be returning in season 2 because they did renew the show for season 2. I really wish that they actually did that for Falcon and Winter Soldier, but Loki obviously makes sense because it ended on such a high note. But yeah, anyway, that was all for today. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to drop a like and please subscribe to the channel. And yeah, comment down below. Please tell me what you thought, and I will get that Black Widow breakdown soon. So yeah. Anyway, here is another video you may watch, and here's another video you watch. Please subscribe. I would really appreciate it.